I absolutely love that intro song. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Franchise Fantasy Show. It's a bit of a different one today. We've this episode is titled Home Alone because the children have been left, but Andrew and Freddie, our parents, have decided to leave us in charge. Which I don't know about you, Johnny, but isn't really. I don't think it's a fantastic idea, to be honest.
You know what? It could go terribly. It could be amazing, but we're going to roll with it. We've got a good kind of show ahead of us, and I think we're going to do a good job, and I think we will serve the people well in helping them to
Yeah.
pick the fantasy teams this Thanksgiving week.
Yeah. It is. It is just a bit of a shorter show. We're just going to do a sort of fantasy games preview kind of thing, as opposed to the regular show, because obviously we don't know what we're doing. Johnny and I, we don't know what we're doing. And bear with me, the laptop cable has fallen. How professional. There we go.
Solid start there,
Oh yeah. Well, it wouldn't be you and I on a show if there wasn't absolute calamity. Am I wrong? Yeah. So basically, we're gonna start off. We're gonna compare the skill position groups in each of the Thanksgiving games. Who you take over? Who you take over who? So we're going to start with the first game, obviously Bills Lions. Now at QB, Johnny, for fantasy reasons, who are you picking? Are you taking Jared Goff? Or are you going to go with Josh Allen? What you thought?
I mean, I don't think this one's too tricky. You know, when you look at what Josh Allen is capable of doing at any given moment on the football field, you know that he's going to get you points. He's going to get you into the end zone. He's going to score you the touchdown points, and he has the potential to absolutely go off any week. And we've seen what's happened with the Lions this year. They're on a 3-game heater. Not something that anyone expected. I don't think it's happened. I'm sure there's been a point in the Lions' history where it has happened before, but it's not for a long time that they've won 3 games in a row. So, yeah, I will have to pick Allen in this situation, but this is probably the week that is the hardest for me to say that in all of Lions history.
Yeah, yeah, you know what, you're right, because they have looked good. Jared Goff hasn't looked bad, to be honest, although all of their touchdowns last week came on the ground.
You know what? They did, but I think when you look at you look at the Detroit Lions as a whole, they've been staying close in kind of high-scoring games. That offense overall has been successful. It's been the defense that's really let them down. They've lost by single digits or single score games multiple times this season. So they have got a good offense. But yeah, Josh Allen's definitely the one here. Oh, Byron froze on me.
Oh yeah, I think you froze for me as well.
There we go. We're back.
We are back. Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. Which is a good segue into the running back. The running back. So we'll go, because Detroit have 2 starters really, Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Let's give 2 running backs for the Bills as well. Let's go with Devin Singletary and James Cook, who is the second string over Nyheim Hines, which I didn't think I'd be saying. Who are you taking out of those 4, Johnny?
Out of the 4, if I was to narrow down, I would probably come to Jamal Williams. I think he has got a higher value looking at his production on the goal line, how many opportunities he gets in a game. Swift was the lead back coming into the start of the season, but I think with his injuries, they've not shied away from continuing to use Williams since he's come back. And I think that actually he's going to continue to lead the line there over in Detroit. And I think that Detroit relies more on the running game than Buffalo. So fantasy-wise, that'd definitely be my choice.
Yeah, especially when they're playing in a dome as well. Yeah, no, again, I'm going to agree with you with Jamal Williams on this one. He leads the league in touchdowns. You know, he scores every week. You got to go with Jamal Williams. On to wide receiver. Now, this game seems to be an obvious choice for which one, really, doesn't it? Amon-Ra St. Brown or Stephon Diggs? Who's getting more points this weekend?
Who's getting more points almost every weekend?
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is he is the household name in the football world that he is for a reason. Like you say, with Josh Allen and that passing offense, I don't think there's a single week where you would choose anyone else over him. I think he's always a number one option. So.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree. Again, it's one of those with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. You never count them out. You can always count on Stephon Diggs getting at least 60, 70 yards. He's reliable, or always has been since he came into this Buffalo team. And like I say, when they're playing in a dome, Josh Allen hasn't got any of the elements to battle against. It's almost like playtime for him, isn't it?
Unfair advantage.
Yeah, it is.
And I think one big thing to note is kind of how dangerous Stephon Diggs is in terms of targets, because he does. I know, obviously, we know that he makes the deep catches down the field, but he can work inside in the slot as well. And he's just Josh Allen's favorite target. There's no one else that he'd rather throw to. Dawson Knox hasn't been crazy productive this year,
no.
So which last year wasn't the case. So I'm not being weird with my hands under here. My sat on my lap, and I'm just trying to keep her happy. So yeah, he's definitely the number one guy today. Tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think with Dawson Knox as well, he's not getting targets. Hence why his production's gone down. It is technically a new offensive system, not really, because Ken Dorsey came in, he was the quarterback coach under Brian Daboll, but he hasn't been getting the targets. I say that he's still a good tight end, Dawson Knox. Would you pick him over Brock Wright for the Detroit Lions at tight end?
If I'm not mistaken, because I don't know a great deal about Brock Wright. I don't know anyone that does.
No.
I can look and see him very quickly here. He's had a touchdown, at least one, in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, he scored 2 weeks ago against Chicago. Chicago's defense has been fairly solid, and the fact that he did manage to get one, but that was his only target. Before the week after that, last week against the Giants, he's had 2 targets. Now, granted, in the last 5 weeks, every game he's had 100% completion. So, you could say he's reliable. But with a high of 57 yards over 4 targets and 1 touchdown across that kind of span, no, I'll be looking again here.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, let's move on to the Giants Cowboys. Now, this is a bit more of a difficult one, because in years gone by, well, the past couple of years, you wouldn't want to take either player from these. Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott. They've both been playing well-ish this season. Daniel Jones, I'd argue, is playing better. In terms of fantasy, though, I'm not sure that Daniel Jones has those standout targets that Dak Prescott does in CeeDee Lamb. It's a bit more of a difficult one. What do you think?
I would agree. I think that Dak has been consistent since he's come back from injury. Had a look up at his stats earlier, averaging 250 a game, 2 touchdowns a game. He's got the weapons available to him that doesn't seem that Daniel Jones has, although, of course, we're going to get into that in a second. I will be looking towards Dak Prescott in this matchup, even though I think that, as he proved last week, Daniel Jones has got that rush ability.
Yeah.
That may tip him over the edge. But yeah, I think from a safety point of view, the Cowboys going in off the back of their blowout win last week, they're going to be coming in confident, coming in hot, and I think Dak's going to be, up for it, ready to go. And I lost Byron again, but yeah, Dak was my pick.
Yeah, no, sorry, I heard all of it. He froze as well. Right. Zeke is questionable this weekend.
Yeah, Pollard's definitely their number one. I think after his game last week, he's going to be their number one guy.
Yeah. So between Pollard and Barkley, I've always got to back Saquon Barkley. The guy's a machine.
Yeah, he's had a crazy good season this season, especially given how everyone wrote him off, said, he's going to last 3 weeks, he's going to last 4 weeks, and then he's going to be injured, which I think at the start of the season was valid, but you can't say that he's not been phenomenal this season, and he's getting stronger every week. He's absolutely phenomenal. So as much as Pollard had his blowout, his massive week last week, I think it was 40 plus fantasy points. I believe Barkley. Yeah. Reliability this season, Barkley.
Yeah. Right. Darius Slayton and CeeDee Lamb. I'd personally put Slayton as their number one over Kenny Golladay and Isaiah Hodgins. You going with CeeDee Lamb all day with this, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. Last week on the fantasy show, I tipped Slayton to be a good fantasy pick. He ended up with about 13 points, which if you're playing in deeper leagues, you've got a second option or even a flex, 13 points, you can't moan at that. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb every day.
All day. Right. Tight ends, Dalton Schultz or Daniel Bellinger?
I think we go Schultz here. It would be my pick. He's not been, I don't know, he's not been
anywhere near as good as he was last year.
No, and that's kind of the disappointing thing, because I believe I had him last year.
You did.
I had him last year, and he
killed it for you.
Yeah. Still didn't win me the season, but there you go. We're 2 steps away from that. Again, reliable target. I think he's proven himself as a good option. So even if things aren't going well, if the Giants manage to go up a score or two, he might be that safety valve that they kind of look to. If anything else, if the regular targets to CeeDee Lamb and the rest of that wide receiving core aren't going to plan, they could end up giving him a couple more receptions.
Yeah. They do need to get more production out of Schultz, because he is a monster. He is. He was so good last year. Good last year. I don't know what it is with some of these players, where, because they have the talent for it. I don't know whether they're just not being schemed as often enough, or what it is. But out of the two, Dalton Schultz is by far and away the better tight end, and he's going to get you more points than Bellinger is. 100%.
I would agree.
Yeah. Right. The last game. It's 1:20 on Friday morning for us, but it's still technically Thanksgiving game.
The one that I won't be staying up for.
Yeah. The Vikings and Patriots.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins and Mac Jones. It's difficult because they're not great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They're not great quarterbacks.
Well, they're not great quarterbacks, generally speaking.
No.
Kirk Cousins has had a lot of success this year, but he appears to be slowing down. Even you would look at last week, and you might overreact to that and say, "Oh, that's it. The Vikings are done. The Vikings are dead." It might not be that far, but if I look very quickly, Kirk Cousins averaging 15 points a game. For Kirk Cousins, it's not awful. And like I say, he has got Justin Jefferson. So again, just like Alan with Diggs, there's a chance that at any given point he's going to throw a 75-yard touchdown to a top receiver. But he scored 2 points against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to write that off. He only scored 16 the week before against the Commanders, who, although they're getting a little bit hotter, they're not a team that should be feared by the upper tier teams. So I think it's going to be hard to pick one this week. Hard to pick one. Who do you go with out of these two?
This week, I think I'm gonna go with Mac Jones. More points this week. I'm gonna go with Mac Jones. I don't like to say it, but this Vikings secondary isn't fantastic, and Mac Jones isn't a good quarterback, but he does have some decent receivers. I would personally say that the Patriots secondary is better than the Vikings. In time, obviously, you have Justin Jefferson, who doesn't matter where you throw the ball, as long as it's within 5 yards of him, he can catch it. Yeah, and that takes us on to the wide receivers. Are we going Jacoby Myers or Justin Jefferson, Johnny?
Oh, should we get on to the running back?
Yeah, let's. Yeah, Justin Jefferson. You pick him over, for me, any other wide receiver in the league. Doesn't matter who they're playing. If you're starting him, you're starting Justin Jefferson.
He's in that top 3, top 4. Don't question it. Just put them in.
No. And yeah, we'll go on to tight ends before we answer some questions that we got on Twitter. TJ Hockenson and Hunter Henry, both not bad tight ends. It's a bit more difficult, this one.
Yeah, this is probably the toughest question because the players are good, unlike the quarterbacks. The Hockenson has proven that he can have success. He's proven that he's a good tight end. When he was at Detroit, he was kind of, their only reliable source of catches. Like, anywhere else that the ball went, it just hit. Yeah. You could almost guarantee it was going to hit the floor. But he's moved teams, and he's proven there again that it wasn't just the quarterback connection. He is a good player. He's a reliable player, and I wouldn't be inclined to go in any other direction here.
No. Yeah, Hunter Henry hasn't been hasn't been getting the targets really this year either. The whole offensive show in New England has been pretty poor, to be honest.
Yeah.
This year in general. So yeah, I'd go with TJ Hockenson as well. Right. Let's, as we did say, it's going to be a bit of a shorter one. So we'll move on to we've got 3 questions. 3 questions to answer this week. I like questions as well. Yeah. They're not Thanksgiving game related.
Oh, okay.
We have a trade advice.
Ooh, trade advice.
So Justin Peter Cripps has said, would you trade away Mark Andrews and T. Higgins for Jonathan Taylor? And he's put Metcalf / Godwin. I'm not too sure what that means.
Well, they're 2 very different people. So yeah. should we pick one of them and assume? Or do you reckon he's got the option to negotiate for either one of those?
They may well do.
I'm assuming there's some negotiation going on there. So we've got Higgins and Andrews for Taylor and Godwin, or
Metcalf. PK Metcalf.
Taylor seems to have had a resurgence.
Mm.
Taylor seems to have upped his game a little bit. He's on my team. He was my number 1 pick, which for the first 9 weeks of the season looked like I had completely ruined my season with that first pick.
Yeah,
he's had a bit of a resurgence the last couple of weeks. They've started giving him the ball, letting him run it up the middle, and dumping it off to him. They've found that again. So I think him over Andrews, if you're looking at that swap, he's definitely the value over Andrews. Andrews has been injured. You know, when a player comes back from injury, there's no guarantee they're going to stay on the field when they come back. Reoccurring re-injuries do happen. And if you can get Metcalf with the start that Geno Smith had throwing the ball, I would say that's the you want to be on that side of the trade. You want to be
absolutely. Then you're definitely taking Metcalf over Godwin as well. If they're trying to get you to take Godwin, you're taking DK.
That would be a deal breaker for me.
Absolutely, you're taking Jonathan Taylor and DK Metcalf all day. So that's do that, Justin. Do that.
But don't take Godwin.
No, absolutely do not take Godwin. This question is, which two of the three? Brandon Ayuk, Gabe Davis, or Keenan Allen?
Get Gabe Davis out of there because he's in with too much talent. There's too many options on that team to put him against the other two. Give me Ayuk over Allen for consistency this season with injuries. Yeah. If it's healthy season, even matchup, I would pick Allen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This season, Ayuk.
Yeah, I mean, Gabe Davis as well. He's good, but he struggles with drops a lot. I think he drops 17% or something like that. It's a lot. But then again, it's annoying because on his day, he's pulling in one-handed catches along the sideline, and you're looking at him like, how do he get his feet in there, and how's he held onto the ball? But yeah, no, this season he's not doing well with drops. Brandon Ayuk and Keenan Allen all day. It's a no-brainer really. If you've watched enough football this season, Gabe Davis has got to go 100%. The last question we have, it's about tight end choices, and it says, like for all, most kind of suck, which they do. His three bad options, but he needs an option. Juwan Johnson on the Saints, Logan Thomas, and Foster Moreau.
Fucking Foster Moreau. Glad Tinch isn't here.
So am I.
Right. Derek Carr is dead this season, so get rid of Foster Moreau.
Yeah.
If it's for, in fact, I don't even know why I'm looking at the Raiders. Foster Moreau, they're playing the Seahawks. Okay. They're playing the Seahawks. So if the other two options have disappeared for any reason, there's a chance he might score you a few points. He's averaging 6 points a game, so it's definitely a bad option. Who else have we got in there?
Logan Thomas and Juwan Johnson on the Saints.
That's who I wanted to get to, Juwan Johnson. I had him down for a touchdown last week, which he got. I think that he scored 2 the week before, I believe. So if that's the way that that offense is looking, I'm not sure who the Saints have got this week. Saints, Johnson.
It's the
San Francisco 49ers.
Yes,
Tough matchup, but looking at the recent form, which is all you've kind of really got to go on with 3 lower tier tight end choices. Yeah. Recent form, I would say Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, I'd agree. I quite like Logan Thomas. I do. I've liked him for a couple of years, but he hasn't hit that. He isn't at that level of play that he did a couple of years ago. Just as good. It's that question about the Saints offense, though. You don't know with how inconsistent they are at quarterback. You don't know if he's going to be big in the scheme for that week. I'd say he's the most reliable out of the 3, definitely.
Can I add a caveat?
Can you what?
Add a little caveat to what I've said.
You certainly can.
The Washington Commanders are playing against Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta are 24th in the league against tight ends.
Yeah.
And they're generally what we call a bit of a shit team.
in professional football terms, they are a bit of a shit team. That's how it is on X's and O's, isn't it? That's what they. That's what they call it.
If you watch any of the big Good Morning Football or anything, they say the Falcons, they're a bit of a shit team. So that might change my decision. If you're in a league with a lot of trades and there's a potential to get him in for 1 week, trade him on another week. Who have they got coming up? Because you've got the Giants twice, not a great defense, but then you've got San Fran, Cleveland, Dallas. I would look, if you can get him in for this week and get him gone, get Thomas. If you're looking for a bit more consistency, I would look towards Juwan Johnson.
Yeah. And I think this has been quite a nice episode. There's been a lot less shouting, and you know what? I've agreed with everything you've said.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so nice.
It is nice.
It sets us up nicely. We're going to have a lovely Thanksgiving together as well.
We are going to have a really nice Thanksgiving. We're gonna go and do a little pre-Thanksgiving activity, and then we're going to go and eat food together, and watch the Bills absolutely ruin the Lions. That's what we're going to do.
Not guaranteed, but
no, but it is. So let's do that. That brings the show to an end. Like I say, it's a bit of a different one, but I think it's been quite peaceful. I've quite enjoyed it. Maybe we get rid of Andrew and Tinch for forever.
Don't know how they'd feel about that.
Yeah, well,
this does take a lot of organization and structure, which I don't think we've got for the long haul. We can do 1 week, but I'm looking forward to having the dads and the annoying cousin back. Next week.
Yeah, so am I. I much prefer Andrew asking the questions and me just saying I don't want to answer it, and then going back to looking at my phone. It's a lot easier that way.
Been good. You've done a great job of hosting. Well done.
Oh, well, everyone wrote me off because I'm the problem child, but I've proved them all wrong, and we're actually on time this week as well.
We are. See, if nothing else, we keep the show to the length that we want it.
We are punctual.
Run over by half an hour.
Yeah, because we're all talking shit about Adam. That
does take at least 15 minutes.
Yeah. No, thanks for watching, guys. And hopefully the next show will be a bit more structured, a bit more exciting, but with us on it as well. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.